We have a lot of talks lined up, so I'll go ahead and get right into it. It feels a bit ironic to me to be giving this talk because evangelism is actually a concept that I have a really, really hard time with, and it's not one that I feel comfortable with in any capacity. I grew up with religious evangelism. I've been a recipient of product evangelism, and I have like a lot of hang-ups with the word. So I tried to make this talk. I made lists. I crossed out lists. I did research. I thought of all the things that I could say. And I just kept coming back to like this idea of these things about evangelism that I really don't like and that I really deeply struggle with. The first one is really that sometimes evangelism feels really over-emotional. Like evangelism begets zealousness, and you think about somebody like passionately telling you about this thing, people telling you that you're gonna love something, but like my response to this is like, always like, what if I don't love it? Like, what if I fundamentally don't? I don't know how to deal with that infusion of passion from somebody. Second is the idea that like somebody wants me to change my thinking. Like they want me to see the world in a fundamentally different way. Like they want me to get a head transplant. But I actually like who I am, and I actually like the way I see the world. So what if I don't want to buy into their premise? Like, what do I do actually in response to their evangelism to me? And third, I think it just feels really hollow sometimes. Like someone's selling me this like mythical world with unicorns and rainbows where everything's amazing and everything's awesome, and like, I don't live here. Like, I don't know if you all do, but I just like, this isn't my reality. And so the whole like, process of receiving this from somebody makes me feel a lot like this, like I just kind of want to jump off a cliff. But I said I would give this talk, so I thought, and I asked myself, like, why? Why does evangelism like err in these really bad ways? Like, how do we get to this place where it just feels not quite right? And I think this is a really big reason. Like, community is like magic sometimes, right? We see successful companies, they have big communities around them, and we think like, go out and get one of those now. And we equip evangelists and give them this mandate to build community. But it's not easy. Like, it's not simple and straightforward to get people together. And I think related, sometimes evangelism feels like a clever cover for sales and marketing, right? Like, you're being sold something that's in a box that you don't quite know what it is. It's a bait and switch sort of situation. And we see people as a means to an end because we want to evangelize them so they start using our product and we start getting more revenue. But maybe, in like a little bit of idealism I still have, it could be a little bit more like this. Like we could build really incredible structures that could help people reach the stars. Like it doesn't have to be quite as bad as it feels sometimes. So what I want to end talking about today, or actually substantively talk about today, is how do we get there? And I think we begin with the individual, with a person. Like this is me most of the time trying to figure out something on my computer. How do we have empathy for this individual? First and foremost, over and above our message, over and above our product, over and above our story. Like, who is this person? And like, how do we reach them? How do we talk to them? And I think there's two fundamental truths, right? The first is that people have a plan. I have a plan. I know where I want to go. I'm assuming most of you like have a plan and a purpose and like a map for how you want to get there. Like, what if we found out what this was and we saw our job not as evangelists, but as people to like help provide pathways for that? I think second, a lot of times we know the communities that we want to be part of, and we know for a variety of reasons why we aren't part of them, whether it's fear on our part, whether it's a lack of skills that we don't have, whatever the variety of reasons are, like we know where we want to be. So what if we saw our job as like equipping people to get there? And I think it begins, first of all, with listening, right? What does it feel like to be listened to? We've been working really hard on this at GitHub with a government peer community. Ben Balzer, who runs our government efforts, created this open source community where people who are working on tech projects in government can talk to each other. They feel listened. They have a place to go and share their ideas. I think second, like, I want to feel included. And I think like building inclusive structures is really critical as well. And I think like there's differences in community and we want to celebrate them. And we try to do this in some capacities with the facilitation of user groups that we have. Third, I don't think this is an area that we're doing really well, but what does it feel like to be welcomed? Right now, if you join GitHub, you get an email and you get dumped into a dashboard in a deeply technical product. But one of the things I want to level up us on is how we welcome people. What is that first experience like, and how do you know what you're going to get as a result? Finally, what does it mean to learn how to fly? One of the biggest barriers right now to being successful in the GitHub community is Git itself. We've developed an event series called Patchwork where people can come and learn Git with their peers. And it's a big effort on our part to try to let people be part of something and overcome that obstacle that's preventing them from being there. I think as well, what about the idea of shelter? Things are going to go bad. Things are going to get broken. A major impetus behind the way we approach support as a company is fixing things when they go wrong. Giving people the opportunity to come to us and feel like we're going to give them the ability to overcome what they're being faced with. So it feels a little cliche, I realize, to introduce David Foster Wallace and to talk about evangelism, but whatever, I'm just going to roll with it. When I think about the This Is Water speech, I feel like the two takeaways are be aware of the world around you and be aware of how that impacts other people. And I think that's really true when we're thinking about developer communities and developer community building. And this is the possible ideal, I think. If we listen, if we build inclusive spaces, if we give people opportunities to go where they want to go, we're more of advocates in a journey with people than we are giving one-sided messages to them and talking at them. So I'm Casey Sharon on the internet, Twitter, and et cetera. And I don't know, I'm really excited to talk more about all of these ideas with you. So thanks so much for listening to me rant.